And we're in fact going to be talking at a time when you see so many creators talk about relatability, realism, being positive in terms of body positivity, skin positivity. I want to start off with Sana actually. Sana, you're a fashion content creator. Tell us about, as a woman who's creating content, you sometimes get labeled or boxed in when you share, say, political opinions or opinions about anything for that matter.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, but what I feel, I'm creating content for my audience, so it doesn't matter if people are labeling you for certain things. So I don't think so it affects me that badly. So I kind of share whatever I feel, be it political, beauty, anything.
Right. Now, I would also like to talk to Niyati about something interesting they're doing. Niyati, of course, people would know you better as Niyu from Abhi and Niyu fame. But you're working on something quite interesting, decolonizing the minds of Indians. Now, you share the pride of India in terms of when you travel, you share, different parts of India that people would not have seen mostly, and some of them assume that it's abroad. So that's an interesting concept. I'd also like to talk to you about when you're taking out this campaign, do you then face questioning in terms of traveling alone as a woman or traveling as a woman?
Let me address them one by one. So the reason we make our videos is we started in 2019 with a series called 100 Reasons to Love India. And the motto at that point of time was that we noticed that the news about India was overwhelmingly negative on social media or anywhere, but at the same time that negative news exists, all of the change makers also exist. We had a panel of 4 women from the IAS. You all just gave an award to amazing women leaders from the police. So all of these people exist on the same plane as all of the problems, and yet the focus of the country was overwhelmingly only on the problems. And what happened was, if you consistently see only negative news about the country, you will feel like कि भाई इस देश में कुछ बचा नहीं है, मैं भाग जाता हूँ. Which is kind of a little bit what Sunil sir spoke when he came over here about this tendency to just leave the country and run away. Perhaps that's because you've never heard of anything good. You've never heard stories of, for example, the inspirational people who win the Padma Shri, people who work very hard to solve education problems, to continue their art forms, to make a difference to society. So that's when we say decolonizing Indian minds one at a time, that's what we want to focus at. It's to tell people that this country has a lot of change makers. This country has a lot of people who matter, and you should know about them so that you don't feel like this country is any less than any other country abroad. Now, about traveling, we have, my husband and I traveled a lot together, and we've gone into a lot of rural parts as well, used public transport in a lot of states. And we've noticed that, of course, you have to have the few tips to be careful, don't go out in the dark, keep people updated about your whereabouts and all of those tips and tricks. But we've generally noticed that people are very nice and helpful. If you ask them, even if you don't know their language, if you ask them, they will help you out. This country has good people as well.
Absolutely. We've spoken to a lot of travelers from abroad as well. And when they come to India, they say people treat you like your family. And
that's true.
Speaking of that, speaking of family, speaking of community building, Alicia, I want to talk to you about the way that you share content in terms of being body positive, skin positive. There's also this term that's come about that says being makeup positive in terms of, your choice. If you want to wear makeup, you can do it. If you don't want to wear makeup, you don't have to wear makeup. And do you think this is now being applied more in terms of when people create content? They tend to now break that fourth wall that also exists in content creation.
Okay, thank you so much for this lovely question. I'm just going to give you guys like a context where I started my journey, how I started my journey. I was stuck in lockdown for 6 months with my family in Jaipur in a Haveli, and we were like 90 people in a Haveli. There, I just completed my 12th standard, I had nothing to do. I went there, I used to watch people doing makeup videos. I got inspired, but I just had 5 products in my bag. And I thought of creating looks out of that. And I mean, I do have dark circles. We all have dark spots, everything. We have flaws. So I thought I should just embrace myself, enhance it, enhance my features. We have lovely features as an Indian woman. The skin tone we have, I mean, we should be proud of it. Instead of doing brightening things, it's better to, just embrace it and love it. I used to get a lot of hate about my skin because I was a little dark. So for that, I started making videos and people loved it and I got boomed. And because of that, I started putting makeup positive videos, and you should do it makeup. You are not proving anyone to just, you are not proving anyone to do it. You just do it for yourself and just to make yourself happy. It's just that.
Absolutely. Sukriti, talking about, like she mentioned, every content creator, when they put out content, especially as a woman, sometimes they're pitted against one another. I'm sure everybody will be hearing about what's happening between Kendall Jenner and Kylie Jenner and Selena Gomez, and that's become a huge talking point at this point. And the interesting fact over there for people is the fact that they're women and they want to see a cat fight. Do you think this happens, and it's still happening when it's between content creators, when in reality you're all are just friends?
Thank you for that question, and really excited to be on a panel with such amazing women and such amazing women in the audience. So thank you for having me here, number one. Answering your question, I think thankfully, I'm lucky that I'm never pitted against anyone yet. But no, of course I know, sometimes there's a overlap of content that happens, right? Because a lot of us are making content these days, and all of us are content creators, and I'm so glad that this industry is suddenly, it's just going places, right? So a lot of content creators coming up every day, and I'm so glad that that's happening. But because most of the content that I make is very observational. So I observe something and something is relatable, so I will put that out as a content. And a lot of other people also do that, right? So sometimes it just happens that there's an overlap of content and a lot of people start commenting that, you've copied this person, That happens all the time, right? Sometimes I feel, I remember there was this one really big content creator and I hadn't seen her video and it just happened to be a similar video, right? And I hadn't seen it and a lot of people started commenting in the comments that you're copying her, and I was like, what's happening? So I went to her page and I saw that video and I realized that it is similar. So I said, what do I do now? Do I take this out? Do I take this off? So I messaged her, and to my surprise, she was so supportive and she said the exact same thing. She said, we're all making observational comedy and observational videos, so sometimes this overlap, it just tends to happen. So I don't think एंड लोगों को एक्चुअली ऑनेस्टली क्या लगता है कि हम घर बैठ के चलो इनकी लड़ाई करा देते हैं, चलो बोल देते हैं, चलो इनको टैग कर देते हैं, तो एंड मज़ा आएगा. सी मैंने पिन पॉइंट किया ये सबसे पहले. पीपल टेक प्राइड इन दैट. सो आई थिंक इट्स जस्ट, I don't know, sometimes it's just, it really bothers you sometimes. A lot of times this has happened that a lot of people have messaged me saying somebody else is trying to make a content that you've made earlier. And I just leave it. I'm like, it's okay, it's fine, just let it be. So that way people try and pit you against each other. But I think the most support that I've ever got from someone is women. Even in my family, even in my comment section, even the people who follow me, there are always women who are out there to sort of support you, and they're all faceless people there, who are following you, right? A lot of time I also face body shaming comments. I get a lot on my, and I always read the comments, and sometimes if somebody has commented something wrong about my body, there'll be women who will be fighting again for me. So I think kudos to women. I think a woman can support a woman like no other.
Right.
I think that's
Take away from
great.
that, I want to ask Sana again. Earlier when I asked you about trolls, you said, just don't care about what they say, just post what you want. But, at the end of the day, this even happens to every one of us. Once you share a story on Instagram, you open and you check how many people have seen it. And if somebody replies, you immediately want to know what they've said. If they've reacted in a negative way, you're like, oh no, I'll delete it. So this happens, I'm sure, to most of us. So what would you like to say to, women today in terms of sharing whatever they want on social media without the fear of it being misused as well?
I think बहुत बारी मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ है. Whatever I have shared, people have commented on my clothes also sometimes. So initially it made me really, used to feel very bad, the kind of content I was sharing or the kind of videos I was sharing. But then I decided to carry on with this. And today, if I'm posting something, there are set of people who will comment negative, who will troll you. There are haters, but I think at the end you should believe in yourself, and what you like you should share that thing only.
And you know, numbers always, it's always more good people than bad.
The majority of the people will be silent supporters, and it'll be 1% of like a very vocal minority who just wants to like bring you down. I like to add on to your point, it's mostly men who are jerks, right? It's like men who will give you like taunts and crap like that, and the women will be like, oh my god, just ignore them, just ignore them.
You know, in fact,
So
only
funny.
yesterday I think
So funny.
Yeah, I know. Yesterday I put out a video where my grey hair was showing, and there was this random comment that said, "Arey, apne baal to dye kara lo." And then, okay. And then I remember, and then I saw there's a thread uske niche, and then there's the lady who commented, "Aap apne kaam se kaam rakho na, aapko kya hai?" I was like, oh wow, okay, I can just sit here and just watch this. This is so interesting.
Yes, but I'm sure, Niyati, that there are a lot of men also who support women online, content creators online. Of course, so many of my friends, they follow women content creators online, and they go to their, to support them, and they share their content, content like what you're creating, you know. So in terms of that, let's talk about the community that you've built online, and how that is a beautiful thing in itself. The fact that this community is consistent of not just women but men also who are very supportive.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not possible to generalize and say men don't support. A lot of very vocal support that I get on things that I share are also like men who will be like, just ignore them. And you know, if there are other men who are behaving badly, they'll be like, we apologize on behalf of, you know, our, like the idiots from our community. So of course there are men. About community, I'd really like to say that we have, like I said, most of the community is a very silent consumer of your content, and they very silently implement the things that we may say, but sometimes they'll just come out and share it. Like we were in Bangalore and for an event, and somebody came up to us and said that your videos make me want to stay back in India. And and we were so floored because that's such a huge compliment. But this person never reached out to us, never shared anything. So that's the thing. The beauty of the community is that we tend to think that community is only what we see online, the likes, the shares, the comments. But the community is actually the people who feel like you're their brother or their sister or part of their family, and actually implement the things. Like there are so many people who will message us and they'll call Abhi as Abhi Dada and me as New Didi, or Dada and Vaini and stuff like that. So that familial bond is always there with the people, you know, because they think that you're a part of the family.
Yes, and I'm sure every time you impact even one life, it's beautiful to know that you've made a change in someone's life. Finally, Lisha, I'd like to ask you, you started off small, like you said, during the lockdown. Do you think over the time numbers have played a big part, or do you tend to ignore that totally? Because we of course know trending sound, you have to use these hashtags, you have to use these particular reel sounds, you have to post one picture a day, one reel a day. Do you then get into that stress, or have you completely switched off from that?
To be honest, we do. I think all of us, we do. But at this point, I think I don't care. I believe in community. I believe in my people. I believe in my genre. I believe in my work, especially. So I think it doesn't matter to me. It's just my community, my genre, everything is, that's it.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts today.
Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.